Hello my friends, my name is Alex and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today we are doing the mid-year book tag. I cannot believe that June is almost over as I'm filming this. By the time you're seeing it, it might already be July. I just absolutely cannot believe that we are halfway through 2023, but I'm really excited because this is my first ever mid-year book tag and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun in today's video. I have read a lot of good books this year, a lot of books that I have enjoyed so much. You've probably already heard me talk about most of these in my other videos, but this will be fun to run through all the questions and let you guys know some of the best and worst books, characters, all those things that I have had the opportunity to read so far this year. Let's jump in and talk about the books that I have read in the first half of 2023. So the first question is, what is the best book that I have read in 2023 so far? And I'm guessing it's going to come as no surprise to anyone here that I have chosen Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. You guys, you know I'm obsessed. If you've seen my channel at all, I have a lot of videos where I talk about this. I just put out an hour-long conversation about this book between me and my husband. So if you've not seen that, go check it out. It is an absolute hoot. It was so much fun to film. And yeah, we talked about this book for an entire hour and honestly could have kept going. I'm obsessed. It is a new adult fantasy romance about dragons. What more can you say? It's so good. If you guys haven't heard of Fourth Wing, I'm not gonna give a ton of synopses in today's video because I've talked about these books already before. So if you wanna hear more of my thoughts, there are other videos where you can hear me chat about this, but favorite book of 2023 so far is definitely Fourth Wing. And probably a million other people said the same thing, but there you go. The next question is, what is the best sequel you have read so far in 2023? And for this, I'm actually gonna say the very first book that I read this year at all, my first read of 2023, which was Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn, the sequel to Legendborn. You guys, I thought this was an outstanding YA fantasy sequel. A lot of times there is a second book slump in fantasy series, specifically in YA, and this did not have that at all. I absolutely loved Bloodmarked. I thought, honestly, I enjoyed it even more than Legendborn. I know that's a little bit of a hot take maybe. My mom and my husband did not agree with me, but I loved Bloodmarked. I'm so excited to see where this series goes next. And you guys, definitely a 10 out of 10 sequel and an awesome 5-star read to start 2023. So if you guys have not picked up the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn and are fans of YA fantasy, diverse representation, King Arthur mythology, go pick these up. They're so good. The next question is a new release from 2023 that I have not read yet, but I want to, and I couldn't pick just one book here, so I have two. The first is one that I just received in the mail, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I have been seeing this all over the place as like a fun, cozy fantasy with Princess Bride vibes, and I am absolutely desperate to read it. I've not read anything by Brandon Sanderson, and I think this might be my first. I've heard it might be a good one to start with, just a fun intro to his writing. This is one of his like secret projects from this year, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. So this is one new release that I need to get to very soon. And then the other one I picked is one that my dear friend Nicole just sent me for my birthday, which was so sweet. It is Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. And this has magical libraries and secret societies. Literally say less. I'm desperate to read this. It sounds so fun. And yeah, I think it was even compared a little bit to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which is a favorite of mine. So definitely need to get to this one soon. And thank you, Nicole, for sending it to me. I'm really excited to jump into it. Next is my most anticipated releases for the end of the year or the rest of the year. You guys know there will be more videos coming from me about this. I love talking about upcoming releases. If you want to see my summer, so June, July, and August anticipated releases, I will link that video above. But my most anticipated releases for the rest of 2023 are obviously Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, the sequel to Fourth Wing. I am also really looking forward to Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is her adult fantasy debut, and I'm a huge fan of the Shadowhunters universe. I've gotten sucked back into those this year as well. So really looking forward to checking out Swordcatcher and seeing what that is all about. And then The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. You guys, I'm a huge Adrienne Young fan, and her adult fantasies are so good. The first one was Spells for Forgetting. I was obsessed. It was one of my favorites of last year, so cannot wait to read The Unmaking of June Farrow. It just sounds incredible. So those are my top 3 for the rest of the year, but you can definitely keep watching my channel for more fall and winter releases. If you want more extensive videos on the things that are coming out in those months, I will have you covered. Next is my biggest disappointment of the year, and I honestly don't often rate books super low. I usually rate books 3, 4, and 5 stars because I know my reading tastes pretty well, and I don't tend to pick up books that I don't think I'm going to like, and I tend to be pretty spot on knowing whether or not I'm going to enjoy a book. However, there was one book that really let me down this year. I think I gave it like a 1.5 or 2 stars, and that is Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. I was so excited about this adult fantasy romance story, and it was just a no for me. I really didn't end up enjoying it. Was so bummed because the premise sounded awesome and the world building was really cool, but I just really hated our main characters a lot. I did not enjoy reading about them, not in like a fun way and just a like, please can I stop reading this book kind of way. So that was a huge bummer, a huge disappointment to me, and definitely my worst rated book of the year so far. Let's just not talk about House of Sky and Breath. Let's just not talk about that. I will continue reading that series, so it's definitely not as low as this. I do think I gave that book a 2 stars. Don't come for me, but I will continue House of Flame and Shadow. This series I will not be continuing. I have no interest any longer, sadly. So, biggest disappointment of the year. Next is my biggest surprise of the year, and you guys, I know that I enjoy murder mystery, especially when there's like humor to it. You know, we've got Knives Out vibes, Finley Donovan vibes. I know that I really enjoy that. So I was expecting to like everybody in my family has killed someone, but I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. You guys, the humor in this book was written for me. It was exactly my type of comedy, and I just had an absolute blast. So I wasn't surprised that I enjoyed it, but I was surprised how much I enjoyed it and how spot on the humor was for my personal taste. So definitely that gets biggest surprise for me. I didn't expect to be raving about it and still thinking about it months after I read it. And I believe there's a sequel coming out later this year, so very excited about that too. Next is favorite new author. This can either be debut author or new to me author. And I'm trying not to repeat myself in this video, but I could not give this to Rebecca Yarros. Fourth Wing just hit everything I wanted in a fantasy. I feel like it was written for us girls who grew up on things like Hunger Games and Twilight and Divergent and all of those stories, and she just hit the nail on the head of exactly what I was looking for in a fantasy romance book. So Rebecca Yarros is definitely my favorite new to me author of the year. Next is new fictional crush or book boyfriend, and that is definitely going to Roman Kit of Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. You guys, he's such a marshmallow. The romance that Rebecca Ross can write is the most beautiful, soul-deep romance. I can't even talk about it. I'm obsessed with the way that she writes relationships. It is just stunning, perfect, everything I want every time, and Divine Rivals was no exception. So Roman Kit, definitely my new crush, and he does kind of remind me of my husband a little bit, so there we go. I am obsessed with him. This book is wonderful. And my newest favorite character of the year is going to go to Matthew Fairchild of the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I picked this trilogy up earlier this year and absolutely fell in love with one of our side characters named Matthew. He is just so sweet. His story broke my heart, but I just love him so much, and I love the specifically male friendships in this series. You guys, if you have read the last book, there is an illustration in the book of a male friendship that just absolutely kills me. It is so tender and so sweet. So Matthew is definitely a new favorite character of mine, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him again in some more stories. I would really, really love Cassandra Clare to do some spin-off stories about Matthew. Next is books that made me cry, and the first, I have a couple. So the first I'm going to talk about is Happy Place by Emily Henry. You guys, it was the friendships and the reconciliation between friends that broke my heart in this one in the sweetest way. I loved the way that friendships were portrayed in this story, and it definitely brought some tears to my eyes. So there's one that made me cry. But the book that made me lose my mind sobbing was actually a reread, a book that I have already read before. I was listening to this book on audio, which I've never cried listening to an audiobook before, and I just started bawling, and that is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. If you know, you know. You guys, the end of this book, I just could not control myself. I was sobbing, so dramatic, but also so deserved. It's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, it's sad, it's happy, I don't even know. You guys, the tears were flowing, and they were flowing strong. This book made me sob. So I had to include it even though it was a reread, because gosh, how can she do that to me on a reread? I already knew it was gonna happen. Couldn't handle it anyway. Next is books that made you happy, and I picked two for this as well because you guys, I have no self-control. I love talking about books. The first is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. You guys, this was so charming, so adorable. I just absolutely loved the like cozy fantasy witchy vibes. The found family was what made me so happy. It was just so sweet. The children, oh my gosh, the relationship between our main character Mika and the children in this story is so cute. And then we also have an adorable romance, but it was definitely the found family vibes that made me just giddy reading this story. I loved it so much and had so much fun. And then another super recent read that made me really happy was The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This was just such a nostalgic childhood type of story, and I just really adored it. It's also definitely got some darker themes. It's definitely hard and sad to read, but at the same time so happy because there's such a sweet found family going on. There are such sweet relationships between the characters, and I ate this book up so quickly. I had such a blast reading it. I thought I was going to enjoy it, but didn't realize quite how nostalgic and happy it was going to be for me. Next question is a favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year, and I have not actually watched that many book to film adaptations. I think like Shadow and Bone, and then I saw A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks. However, I've not actually read the book by Frederick Bachman, so I don't know if I can even count that. But what I'm actually going to give as my answer for this is something I have already seen a million times. This is not a new book to film adaptation for me, but recently I just had a craving to rewatch this movie series that I love, and it was still so good. And that was The Hunger Games. You guys, I rewatched all of the movies in one weekend with my husband. We just binged through them. They are so freaking good, especially the first and second one. And yeah, absolutely love the film adaptation of The Hunger Games. Next is the most beautiful book that you have gotten this year, and that is definitely the Illumicrate edition of Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. You guys, this exclusive cover with the foil is stunning. These edges though, have you ever seen edges more intricate and stunning than that? I'm obsessed. We've also got like artwork end papers on this one. We have an exclusive hardback. It's signed. I even think there's exclusive content in this one, but the edges, the cover, stunning. She's beautiful. This book is a prized possession and I love her. Have I read it? No, I've not, but I love her anyways. And last but not least, you guys, is a book or books that I am desperate to read, need to read by the end of 2023. And I have a couple of books for this question. The first being The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I desperately need to read this soon because it's my book club pick for July. I'm really excited. I'm a couple chapters into it, but this was on my list even before I had chosen to do it for my book club because I've just heard so many good things about this book and I'm desperate to know what all the hype is about. I did read Carissa Broadbent's Daughter of No Worlds series and did enjoy that, so really looking forward to Serpent and the Wings of Night. Next that I need to read by the end of the year is anything by Brandon Sanderson. I cannot end 2023 without having read a Brandon Sanderson book, so whether it's Tress of the Emerald Sea, The Way of Kings, Skyward, Mistborn, whatever I pick up, I have to read something by Brandon Sanderson before this year is over. I just need to. And lastly, a book that I have been promising some friends that I would read for the last 2 or 3 years. I know I'm gonna enjoy it, so what am I waiting for? I need to read The Raven Boys. It's time. It's going to happen this fall. Hold me to it, please, because I desperately need to read this book. So many of my friends love it and have told me that I will love it too, so that is the last one on my list of books that I need to read by the end of the year. You guys, those are all the questions for the mid-year book tag. Let me know in the comments below some of your favorite, most disappointing reads of the year, anything, any of the questions you want to answer, most anticipated releases for the rest of the year. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you for hanging out with me and I will catch you in my next video. Bye friends.